Hello and welcome to First Post Game Plan. I'm Devdutt Bhattacharjee and I have with me our very own cricket wala Ayaz Memon.
Thank you.
And the issue that we would be discussing today is the issue that is occupying the mind space of all Indian cricket lovers.
Not happily.
Not happily, of course. Anil Kumble is stepping down as the coach of the Indian cricket team and later posting a letter on Twitter saying that it was, differences with Captain Virat Kohli, and he said that Virat Kohli had reservations about the way Kumble ran the team.
Yeah.
So, how do you see this controversy? And was he shabbily treated? Legend of his caliber, was he shabbily treated?
I'm sure he was shabbily. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that he was shabbily treated to the extent that, look, from his letter or his Facebook post, what is clear, what he says is that he was only talked to by the BCCI officials on a day earlier, on Monday, that the captain has reservations about you. So that I think was was very shabby or very shoddy of the BCCI, because these problems were not unknown even to Kumble. Let's face it. If Ram Goa could write about it in his letter 3 weeks ago, and there were murmurs that nothing, things were going wrong between Kohli and Kumble even 3 months back, then surely everybody knew without having it confirmed.
Yeah.
Ram Goa's letter confirmed it, and this reconfirmed it. But if the BCCI was in the know, as is now evident, because Virat had spoken to them, maybe informally, then maybe it was essential for the BCCI to have addressed it then. Whether Kumble is retained or not is not the issue, but when he was their appointee. He was an appointee of the BCCI. He hadn't kind of parachuted into this job. By a due process, he was appointed the coach. He is a representative of the BCCI, and therefore, if the exit had to happen, it could have been with a lot more dignity, I feel. So to that extent, yes, And it's not that Anil was not knowing as to what is happening or what is going wrong. Obviously he knew, because he is one party to it, the other being Virat Kohli. So you can't have a conflict without your knowing it. So that is true.
And it's known that in cricket, unlike football or some other sports, the captain, wins the stake, and the captain is all powerful. But are we making the coach a vestigial organ in cricket? And if his role is limited to just giving polite suggestions, so what is the need for having a coach?
I don't think it is that issue, in my opinion. These are all very simplistic ways of looking at it. In my opinion, the difference, it's not just a difference of opinion as it appears. It's a failure of an interpersonal relationship. I think that, whether Kohli didn't like his style, or he didn't want this or he didn't want that, these are all manifestations of a certain trust deficit that had set in, for whatever reason. It's very complicated. Human nature is very fragile and complex. So one can't say, why this should have worked and that can't work. So you've got somebody. I mean, Greg Chappell came to India with a magnificent reputation as former Australian captain, handpicked by Saurav Ganguly, and he fell out first with Saurav Ganguly before the rest of the team within 6 months. It didn't even last a year. So what went wrong? So I think to me, I find it inexplicable. It is sad, but if you're a student of life, which I can fancy myself to be, it's also very fascinating as to why this looked like a partnership which was made in heaven. I know that Virat got along very well with Ravi Shastri, but that was in the past. When Kumble came in, Kumble's excellent credentials, the kind of the rapport which they shared over the first 3, 4, 6 months, the results that they've got. Who would have thought that this relationship would collapse, and why? It still boggles my mind why. But I don't think it is just as, to put it simply, that why couldn't he say this and why didn't he do that. I think it's a little more complicated.
Absolutely. And I was following your Twitter, and you tweeted that it was an utter absence of leadership and management on the part of the BCCI and the Committee of Administrators and the CSC as well, comprising Ganguly, Lakshman and Tendulkar. But possibly if you had created that Frankenstein in giving the captain such a huge
I don't think that is the issue, in my opinion. Why are we saying that captain is? See, it's like this. If a conflict happens between players in our field, you're sitting in this newsroom with me. If something happens in another newsroom, we come to know.
Yeah.
You think the cricketing fraternity in India didn't know that there was a problem between Kohli and Kumble brewing? Maybe the media latched onto it later, but the players certainly knew. The people in the BCCI knew. The committee of administrators knew, as Ram Goa himself has put down in his resignation letter. And the CAC, which is Tendulkar, Ganguly and Lakshman, they obviously knew. Certainly. So, if there had to be a rapprochement, there had to be a show of decisive leadership and management skills, crisis management skills then. We are assuming that, let me put it this way, that the captain, and Kumble mentions this, that there are boundaries for the roles defined, that he also accepts that the captain is, captain is the captain. Yeah. Kumble has been the captain earlier. It's not that he has not been a captain earlier. So, it's not that the role of the captain has suddenly become bigger because of Kohli. It was always there. The weaker personalities or the more vulnerable, informed captains may have kept quiet. But otherwise, it's always been the case. The captain is always more crucial than the coach.
But whenever a coach has even tried to be a bit expressive, as Greg Chappell had, and now possibly Kumble, there have been problems with captains. So you probably
I don't know whether it's about expression or it's about failure of skills to manage a team. So that's what I'm saying. It's not so. Do you have all the answers? Do you know exactly what has gone wrong? No, we are just speculating.
Yeah.
So I feel, in fact, in Greg Chappell's case, there was too much toing and froing. He was talking to people, Saurav was talking to people within the media, outside. In this case, it has not been so volatile, frankly. Virat may have gone and spoken to some BCCI. Even within the BCCI, Kumble has a lot of support.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the BCCI is agreed with what has happened with Kumble. Within the COA, Ram Goa made it explicit that what was happening was not right and should have been addressed earlier. The CAC, all of whom have been, except Lakshman, who have been former India captains, Sachin was captain when Kapil Dev didn't work out. Kapil had to go, not Sachin. When Saurav had to give up the captaincy, his own form was poor.
Yes.
He was vulnerable. So he had to go from the captaincy. Greg Chappell survived, but not for long. And though he got along very well with Dravid, he still had to go. Because a whole range of players went against him. And amongst them was whether they explicitly agreed with the mood or sentiment or not, but Kumble, Dravid, Sachin, they were all there. So I'm saying that it's not, that because I've got a coach, therefore the captain is going to be under pressure or the coach will be under pressure. I think it's a question of a symbiotic relationship that must exist. And in cricket, it is very different from other sports. The coach is not, the captain is like the managing director or the chief executive. He's making the decision on the field. Just to give an example, in a 50-over match, say against India versus Pakistan, they have a strategy, in the 20th over. Till the 20th over, we'll play fast bowlers, then we'll bring on the spinner. But the captain may change his mind and may have nothing to do with the plan that has been hatched in the. While in football, the blueprint is prepared well in advance, there are very minor changes. So it's not a plain vanilla relationship between cricket and between a captain and a coach in cricket. I think that's so. How it is forged, how it is sustained, is of the crux. And for the life of me, I still say that I don't know how this bond between Kohli and Kumble just kind of reached a point of no return.
Absolutely.
A difference of opinion you can tide over, you can sandpaper it. Difference of opinion between you, 5 ungli barabar nahi hai na. So there will always be difference of opinion. But it reaches a stage where somebody takes a position, is either me or is all or nothing. It's a very dramatic and drastic position to take.
Absolutely, but Kumble pointed out that he was trying to be a mirror for the team, and there are reports saying that he criticized India's performance in the final of the Champions Trophy, and that was one of the reasons.
Do you think that that is of any consequence that he criticized? Therefore, he went. That is rubbish.
Yeah.
That one day before when the whole thing has been brewing for so long, and one match, that is his job. He will be. Criticism is not the issue.
Yeah.
If the team has played badly, he would have criticized. But that's not the reason why this relationship has fallen through. It fell down much earlier. It cracked up much earlier.
We have a few comments coming in. Readers have been following our lives and commenting. One of the readers says, when Kohli was having a problem, it could have been better addressed. They feel it could have been better addressed by Kohli himself.
It could have. That is the conundrum, that they couldn't, between the two of them, reach some kind of settlement. Both are great players. Anil, his careers in the past, but his body of work is astounding, phenomenal. Virat is on his way to becoming an all-time legend. And he's halfway there, if not more.
Yeah.
Their commitment to excellence in their own respective ways is undoubted. Their commitment to succeed. And with all these common factors, what goes wrong? It baffles me. But I just, the only way I can, and that's a rationalization but also a solace in some kind of homespun philosophy, is that, it's human nature is just too complex and fragile. What looked like it would work like a house on fire hasn't. Now how do you explain it?
Yeah. One of our readers, Shobik Datta, says Dravid should have been the person to go for. Dravid could have been an option, but
Dravid didn't want it.
Yeah.
Dravid didn't want the coach's appointment.
But as of now, Sehwag seems to be the front runner in this contest. But Sehwag being Sehwag would be a clash of egos again between Sehwag and Kumble.
I think why are we so judgmental? Why are we are categorizing people as black, white? Why should we typecast Sehwag as some country bumpkin who doesn't know what the game? He's a very all-time great. Whether he'll succeed or not, I don't know. Why should we assume that he knows nothing about coaching methods or dealing with people? Maybe he doesn't, but as yet, do you know for sure? Nobody knows. And somebody who had absolutely brilliant credentials is out within a year.
Yeah.
So what does it tell you?
But frankly, should be a contract made for more than a year.
So that, of course, when you look back, Kumble's assignment or appointment itself was done in a
hurried manner.
Yeah, hurried manner, and I don't think it had been thought through completely. So those were board politics being played. Ravi Shastri hadn't done something so bad or so wrong. In fact, he had done quite well overseas. Yeah. But he was not retained for whatever reason. Yeah. When Kumble was chosen, there was a process which itself looked very hastily put. Yeah. And then after he had won the trust of the CAC, his presentation was about how India can play overseas and win. And he gets an appointment for 1 year, which was laughable. Yeah. So that itself was a problem. Now when 1 year is ending, I think maybe Virat, because he was, for whatever reason, he just bided his time. And the BCCI in its own, they have their own politics that they are playing, there's no doubt. They said, okay, when this period lapses, we'll go in for a fresh thing. So they pushed him into a corner virtually. See, my point is this: Virat and Kumble were in the thick of it, in the center of the court. But the BCCI knew the problem, the COA knew the problem, the CAC knew of the problem, and nobody really did address it ASAP. It should have been addressed ASAP. You would have been better equipped rather than lead to a situation where one of your legendary figures has had to leave in such a way.
Inglorious.
And to say that he was being given an extension till West Indies. Why should he take it till the West Indies? I wouldn't. Nobody would.
Yeah.
You're giving him a sop. Then you're saying maybe we'll do it for 2. But if the problem is between the captain and even if you had got it for 1 year, 2 years more, you can keep the coach sitting in the dressing room and discuss amongst yourself and not give him any, give him any respect or give him any credence as a coach. What is the point of being in a dressing room like that?
Yeah.
You can crack the whip and say, no, Virat, you have to. So.
The concern is if somebody else gets, nominated to that position and gets that position gets selected to that position, differences may occur again, and that should not essentially mean that there should be a
Yeah, boss,
breakup.
I think we tend to kind of confuse. It's not a situation in any human situation that you're dealing with multiple people that you will have. It's not like a runway on where everybody taxis off and everything is fine. Some player has an off day.
Yeah.
He's down in the dumps. The captain, fellow players, the coach have to there'll be issues between players, there'll be issues between the coach and the captain. These are all normal things that happen.
Yeah.
It's not that everybody is on some great long party which never ends and everybody is happy with each other. This is a very niggardly and bleak understanding of human nature. In your own house, you don't have differences. You do. If there are differences which can be surmounted, they are surmounted. Sometimes they become sharp. People don't talk to each other for weeks. If it reaches a situation where you say, I'll walk out of my house, that's, then what occupies is what caused this much? Why has it reached this stage? That is the issue. So it's not that differences of opinion wouldn't have existed or that they will not exist in the future. Whether it is Virat X, Y, Z as captain, this will always happen. I think it's a question of, still, it's a problem of an interpersonal relationship as I understand it. And I'm repeating myself again, I cannot for the life of me understand why two guys who, different personalities, but with almost the same kind of pursuits, where cricket is concerned, should have fallen out so badly. Where, one guy says, that's not possible.
But what does it mean for the Indian cricket team now? They are in West Indies, they are going to play a limited
over
series.
West Indies is not a problem to the extent that, it's a small tour, short tour, 4-5 one-day games and West Indies frankly is not a great team.
Yeah.
You might still have upset results. So it's not something that will weigh down on the team or in terms of skills. I think that after that, I personally feel they're going to invite more applications. Because earlier there may be a lot of people who may have thought, oh, I want to be coach, but they wouldn't have applied because how do you contest against Kumble?
Okay.
So now there are 5 people, there might be 4-5 more who could be added now that Kumble is not there. So they will take a call after the West Indies series, I believe, and But yes, it's a sorry episode. It's one of the saddest chapters in my opinion, in Indian cricket history. And well, why it should have come to this pass again, I really don't know. We'll look at it this way. Virat has taken a position where he's not only saying nothing to do with Kumble, he's also, in a sense, taking a position against the CAC.
Which is a bit surprising.
Not only surprising, it's very high risk. Suppose the BCCI had decided more. I mean, he's risking his captaincy. So what is it that is? It's very perplexing. What is the issue?
Moving on.
We've heard from Anil in his post.
Yeah.
But I think the BCCI should shed more light on it.
Moving on, we could discuss the West Indies tour. Obviously not a huge assignment for India, and the West Indies team is not the greatest that you'd ever have. But they need to, put things back on track after that disastrous loss in the Champions Trophy final. And
no, I mean, look, you enter the field to play and to win,
Yeah.
especially if you fancy yourself as a champion team. I think if they have a good series, they might end up becoming the number 1 team. If they win, I think there are 5 one-dayers.
Yes, 5 one-days and 1 T20.
If they win 4 out of those 5 one-days, they should be number 1, despite the loss to Pakistan in the Champions Trophy final. So that is something to play for. Apart from that, you need to kind of regroup after all that has happened. Let's not, be naive about it. This will be weighing on their minds also, the players. So you've suddenly had not just a person leaving of the eminence of Anil Kumble, but a major crisis So it will obviously be weighing on the minds of Virat and the players that they have to do something. We'll have to wait and see how they perform, but it's also the incentive is to finish in number 1.
Absolutely, and there will be chance for players like Rishabh Pant and Kuldeep Yadav to show their
more so because I think, and that was nice. I mean, I think it was very pertinent that Rahul Dravid made this point that Yuvraj Singh and Dhoni, their future needs to be assessed by the players themselves and by the BCCI and the selectors, because they are getting on. It's not about Are they too old, too young? That's not the issue.
Yeah.
They will be 37, 39 by the time the 2019 World Cup comes. 2 years at this age can be a long time to sustain form and fitness.
Yeah.
So they need to be kind of monitored almost constantly. And there are people, Indian cricket, that has enough talent and rich in talent to fill in these gaps.
Absolutely.
And therefore they need to be monitored. I think it's a very valid point.
Yeah, and well deserved break for Rohit Sharma coming back from that injury and then playing so well. And we'd need him for the latter part of the year as well when India play South Africa and Sri Lanka.
I think they've and Bumrah I think is coming back. Bumrah is coming back.
He's been rested as well along with.
He had a long IPL season. I think he played all the matches.
Yeah.
And then Rohit too. Yeah, I think one is that if you have to try out a couple of youngsters, you have to rest a few. Who do you rest was the issue.
Yeah.
So they've chosen Bumrah and Rohit, which is fine.
So that brings us to the end of this program today. Would hope that this turmoil that the Indian cricket is facing.
I must add here that BCCI put out a press release officially yesterday, where they said Anil Kumble has decided not to kind of continue, and Anil also in his letter mentions that the BCCI tried to kind of resolve the matter, but it didn't happen. They failed. So he's also acknowledged to whatever extent, maybe very very late, which I personally feel was very late and therefore shoddy of the BCCI. But the BCCI mentions that his contribution, they hope, will continue to Indian cricket because he is what he is. So I wonder whether suppose there is a position of director of cricket operations, would they consider a man like Anil Kumble?
Yeah.
He's not directly with the team, but he's overseeing or for that in the short run, will the Supreme Court see him fit to be part of the committee of administrators? Now that Ram Goa is not there and Limaya is also leaving, so you never know.
Yeah. Lots of possibilities that can happen. For the moment though, this is all that we have in this First Post game plan. I thank Mr. Ayaz Memon for his time.
Thank you.
And remind the readers to follow First Post for all news and analysis from the world of sports. This is Devdutt Bhattacharjee signing off. Thanks for watching.